So I did my study at the same university as Mariam did, so Sharif University of Technology. And so Mariam, when I started my undergrad, Mariam was already well known and was kind of a role model not only in the math department, but it was well known at the university, because so it was a story that most of our professor just tells us that it was, so Mariam during undergrad took some master courses, and in one of the homework it was an open problem, and the idea was the student find out that this is a difficult open problem just to research. But Mariam thought about that question as a homework question and solved it, and actually her first paper is on that open problem. So, and always the example of like the insight and the hard work of Mariam was kind of discussed among us. And you know, when you are in the department, even though back then and even now female are kind of minority in a STEM subject, I mean, I never thought of that, because the best role model which exceeded like everyone expectation was Mariam. She was a female. So, and also Mariam Mirzakhani and Roya Beheshti, they both female mathematician and co-author a book on number theory, which is kind of one of the best books that a student prepare for international Olympiad use that. So all of that, I think it kind of create a very positive atmosphere. So I met Mariam like once during my study in Sharif. So she gave a talk, and I mean she's kind of very humble, kind, and very generous in terms of like to a student. And I remember so when she was invited, so it was kind of common that even Iranian mathematicians, when they give a talk, sometimes they choose to speak in English language, because there is a lot of vocabulary. So she was she was introduced in English, but she chose to talk in Persian and use for most of terminology she used like the translation ones, which was kind of I found that interesting. And I think through probably I appreciate it after, because I mean she was always kind of very well known, and we didn't realize that maybe the kind of I mean later I realized that maybe not everyone has the same kind of role model, or So what I'm doing, it's kind of between geometry and analysis, and I like to maybe give you two examples so that it's easy to understand. So there is a famous question by Mark Katz in 1960, can we hear the shape of a drum? So you can think of a drum as a geometric object, and hearing, so we hear the frequency. So hearing this frequency, can we see something of the geometry of the drum, or we can ask the same question in other way around. If we see the geometry, if we see the shape, can we like kind of hear the frequency? And this is kind of the area of math called as spectral geometry. So we there are a lot of mathematicians like fascinated with this connection between. So this frequency comes from, let's say, heat equation, wave equation. It comes from physics, but it's kind of an invariant geometric object, and we study, so I in particular study the connection between the two. And another example that I'd like to share is, so this is it goes way back to Chladni. He made an instrument, so in a metal plate, if you spread some sand or salt, and he uses the violin bow to vibrate the plate, and then there was a nice pattern, and different kind of vibration gives a different pattern. And he showed that it was kind of very intriguing how this pattern form, and what's the relation between this vibration and forming this pattern. So this is another area of spectral geometry that people work on. And so this is kind of the two areas that I'm interested in. So I think in particular at Sharif University, so there was not much in terms of the different expectation or from male or female. We never like think of like female or minority, because I would say that most of the people, they expected the same level of kind of performance, both from men and women at the same time. Maybe having an example like Maryam was, was one of the reasons, but also, yeah, I think that played a very important role, and it was kind of very sad accident, a bus accident, that Maryam was on that bus, and it was a group of people that they had all medal from international mathematical Olympiad. And Maryam was among the survivor of that accident, and it was a prize called Yad Prize in honor of those passed away, and also commemorating them. And then, yeah, that was also, I think, was introduced, and our library, probably not at first, but the library is the Maryam Mirza Khani libraries.